Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga have savagely attacked and bloodied Kevin Owens on the latest episode of Smackdown in an event that is sure to have consequences not only for the Bloodline but the WWE as a whole as we lead into the draft. But what's going on, guys? It is Ketch. How you guys going? Hope you're all well. If you're new to the channel, please do like, share and subscribe and turn on those post notifications as it really helps the channel. And let's get straight into the video. For a bit of context, in the absence of The Rock and Roman Reigns losing his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship to Cody Rhodes at Wrestlemania 40, leading to both of their departures, Solo Sikoa has taken on a de facto role of Tribal Chief, making all the current decisions and being the center of attention and going against what the wise man Paul Heyman has been telling him is Roman Reigns' direction. Solo has recently kicked out Jimmy Uso from the Bloodline after he lost to Jey Uso at WrestleMania 40, and he's been replaced by Tama Tonga, the newest member of the Bloodline, son of the legendary Haku. Now this is interesting because the Bloodline were sort of coasting a bit going into WrestleMania. The story was sort of focused a lot on Roman and Cody, but now since Roman's no longer there and The Rock's gone back to Hollywood, it's given Solo Sikoa a bit more of the growth opportunity. He needs to flesh out his character a bit more because for the last 2 years, he's sort of been the silent enforcer in the background, only getting stuff done when Roman Reigns says so. So I think this new Solo Sikoa, this arrogant, more savage version of Solo Sikoa, the enforcer, is going to be very interesting on screens moving forward, and he's definitely made quite the impression in the 2 weeks after WrestleMania on Smackdown by having Tama Tonga not only in the Bloodline, but he's also made Paul Heyman cower and look very afraid of what he's going to do next. And this was evident on the latest episode of Smackdown, and they bloodied and savagely attacked Kevin Owens in an attack that originally started in a parking lot when Tama Tonga crashed his car into Kevin Owens' own car, and the attack only continued into the arena. And even though Kevin Owens did try to valiantly fight back, he was no match as he was already severely attacked by Sikoa and Tama Tonga. And it gave me a bit of thought into what the Bloodline could be looking at later down the line. The fact that Sikoa is already making these moves on his own without the guidance of Roman Reigns as Tribal Chief, it sort of gives me an indication that we're probably going towards a Bloodline Civil War Part 2. Obviously Part 1 was Reigns and Sikoa versus the Usos at the time, but I think this one, this Bloodline Civil War 2 that could be coming, might be even better than the first one. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, but I'll sort of delve a bit more into what that could potentially look like. So there has been a multitude of theories as to what's been going on in the Bloodline over the last 2 weeks since their recent shift in attitude towards the WWE and the Bloodline itself. And I think one of those theories that's been sort of proposed on social media and what's been sort of been played out on our screens is that Solo Sikoa is actually taking orders from someone else. So not Paul Heyman, not Roman Reigns, and a lot of people are thinking this is actually The Rock controlling these decisions Sikoa is making behind the scenes. The kicking out of Jimmy Uso from the Bloodline, the introduction of Tama Tonga into the Bloodline, and this new sort of edgy, more brutal version of the Bloodline. And by having The Rock as this sort of figurehead for the savage version of the Bloodline, I mean, we've already seen what The Rock has done to Cody Rhodes on the episode of Raw when he attacked him backstage and in the parking lot and left him a bloody mess. And so I think this is sort of leaning towards that direction. Like obviously Rock, Sikoa and Tama Tonga are now going to be sort of part of a group together, and sort of they're making their decisions. They don't care what the rules are. The Rock's literally in his recent run swearing on off whenever he needs to, and effectively because he's effectively a member of the TKO board, he can say and do whatever he wants, or at least his character can say and do whatever he wants. And I think, you know, this is sort of leaned in towards Solo Sikoa's character a bit now as well. It's sort of filtered down to him, and I think this is quite interesting because we're now seeing a more interesting version of Solo Sikoa than we had the previous 2 years, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But the reason why I'm saying that Sikoa is taking orders from The Rock is because there's probably some dissension between The Rock and Roman Reigns. Obviously this hasn't been shown on TV, but the theory goes that The Rock blames Roman for losing at WrestleMania 40, and it's potentially setting up a feud for WrestleMania 41. So I guess what this means for Roman Reigns is he'll probably come back as a babyface, as the good guy, but the Tribal Chief version of the babyface, which I think would be really cool because for 4 years we just saw the heel version, the bad guy of it. And then I guess another theory that leans towards this a bit as well is this potentially could be a blow-off match at Survivor Series War Games in November later in the year, when you could have The Rock's Bloodline, him, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, I think Zilla Fatu and Jacob Fatu, I believe, have been mentioned. Both Zilla Fatu and Jacob Fatu have both been mentioned as potential add-ons to The Rock's Bloodline, up against Roman's Bloodline, which would be him, the Usos, and maybe Sami Zayn / Cody Rhodes working together on the same team, which would be really interesting. I would personally like to see that, to sort of see how they would intertwine all that story and how Roman sort of atones for his bad deeds over the last 4 years. But I do think that reunion between Roman and the Usos particularly would be very interesting and quite amazing to see on TV. It'd be sort of like a family reunion almost coming together. But I think, you know, the biggest story at hand here is the fact that Roman's going against The Rock because The Rock thinks that Roman's not fit for duty, even though he acknowledged him as his tribal chief before WrestleMania 40. I think The Rock's definitely got a larger play at hand here behind the scenes, and he's definitely going to want to show his hand. And I think the whole reason Solo Sikoa is now taking on this new role is because he's taking orders from The Rock and not Roman Reigns anymore. So I think it will be very interesting TV that plays out over the next few months in the lead up, both towards SummerSlam and beyond. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. The draft is also next Friday. It starts on Smackdown, so that could potentially bring up a few more potential storylines within the Bloodline that we have not particularly seen over the last 4 years as well. So there's a lot to play out coming up in the Bloodline story, at least on WWE television, which I think is really interesting for the brand and the product moving forward, as well as the group moving forward. So it's always good to see. But that has been the end of this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, please do like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another video, and I'll catch you with another video very soon. Have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you later.